Hi, I'm John McGuire, founder and director of the Kinesiology Institute. Thank you for tuning into this video. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified when we post new content. And go to kinesiologyinstitute.com to learn more about applied kinesiology. Welcome everyone to our Sports Kinesiology course. And I'm John McGuire, founder and director of the Kinesiology Institute. I'm so delighted you're with me today. What we're going to be doing is sharing skills that you can use both for yourself as with athletes to increase their performance, help their recovery time, and in many cases create either personal bests, state records, national records, and we've even had world records set by people in our courses. I'll give you a little of my background, and then we'll go into how Dr. John, actually the man I studied with, Dr. George Goodhart, who developed applied kinesiology, came up with all this stuff. And then later, Dr. John Thie, who I had the great fortune of working alongside of as the program director of the Touch for Health Foundation, as well as his chiropractic assistant. So first of all, in my experience, I was a body worker, massage therapist, and I was doing massage, and I had athletes, I had clients who were ballet dancers and other performers, where I learned all these techniques, including deep tissue, shiatsu, polarity, doing deep tissue massage, as I mentioned, and myofascial release, Swedish massage. I had all these techniques, and when a client would come in, I wasn't quite sure what to do when. Well, I had the great fortune of first studying Touch for Health, and then studying with Dr. George Goodhart, the founder of applied kinesiology. And Dr. Goodhart, in 1964, made a phenomenal discovery. He had a man who had a shoulder problem, and with his shoulder, he was unable to push things forward. He was wanting to get a job in the motor factories, but he couldn't pass the exam. So he was a janitor in the building where Dr. Goodhart had his office. So he was finding that his scapula, when Dr. Goodhart examined the man's scapula, and he found that it was protruding backwards. Well, he had the great experience of getting a present from a man who was a chiropractor himself, gave him a book, Muscle Testing and Function, which is a book from Kendall and Kendall, two physical therapists that decided or figured out how to do all the muscle tests. So in that book, he noticed that, oh, if the scapula protrudes backwards, it indicates a weak anterior serratus. So Dr. Goodhart said, well, let's try this test. So he had the man, his name was Ronald. He said, Ronald, hold your arm up. And he pushed his arm down like this, and you're going to learn this test in the class. And he discovered that it was weak. And he goes, well, Ronald, your problem is you have a weak anterior serratus. So Ronald says, okay, so? And then Goodhart thinks to himself, now what do I do? Well, instinctively, he palpated the origin of the muscle. I want you to all do this right now. And as he's palpating the attachments on the ribs, he finds it's very tender. And it's basically like swollen, and he's finding as he's rubbing these points right at the attachment where the origin of the muscle is, he then finds that, oh, it now when he retests it, it's totally strong. And the scapula has gone back to the shoulder blade, and amazingly, the muscle, which he had this problem for like 12 or 15 years, it was totally back in place, and he was able to go and pass his physical. Dr. Goodhart followed the man, through patients' examinations throughout his career, kept coming back, and the muscle always stayed strong. So Goodhart thought, wow. He thought, if I test a muscle and the muscle tests weak, and I can rub the origin and or the insertion, and it becomes immediately strong, wow, I'm onto something here. Because when the muscle becomes strong, then you have balance. You have the opportunity to bring the person into functional balance, full strength, which is what we're wanting to do with athletes, and then be able to fully empower them to do better in their sport. So that's what we're going to be doing this weekend. We're going to learn how to test 12 primary muscles that are involved in sports. And as Goodhart went on, he developed more and more skills that we'll talk about throughout the class that are energy switches to activate muscles. Back to Goodhart. Okay, so Goodhart, he finds, wow, I can switch on and activate a muscle by just rubbing the origin insertion. So he brings his patients in and finds sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So there's a man he has who has really bad sciatica, and the only relief he gets is by walking. So Goodhart's thinking, when you're walking, it's activating lymphatic flow. So he decides when he can't strengthen the weak muscle, it was a fascia lata in his case, he says, I'm going to massage the muscle to see if I can activate the lymph. So he's massaging the muscle, and the man says, wow, doc, that's the first relief I've ever gotten. And then Goodhart thinks, okay, you can also activate weak muscles by rubbing and increasing the lymphatic flow. We had a book by Dr. Chapman, Frank Chapman, on what were called neurolymphatic reflexes. These are energy switches on the body. They're actually nerve endings that go into the spine and then out to the muscle as well as related organs. So he then, through trial and error, says, I'm going to start stimulating these Chapman's reflexes, neurolymphatic reflexes, and seeing which muscles strengthen with which point. So then he finds, now I've got another way I can activate energy flow. And when he then discovered this, he realized that when people have like a joint that's out of place, like say shoulder problem, knee problem, there is a tight muscle on one side and an opposing muscle weakness. So when he strengthened the weak muscle, the tight muscle would release. So we have in that case what we call opposing muscle theory. So that's a very clear distinction that we're going to use throughout the course, is how we need to balance muscles, because when you strengthen the weak muscle through activating energy reflexes, then the tight muscle will often balance by itself. So that's a new distinction he had. So he now knew, we can switch on muscles by activating energy reflexes, and we can create structural and energetic balance by finding weak muscles and switching them on. Okay, so now we've got the two ways of strengthening a muscle. He has the neurolymphatic and the origin insertion. Those are both firm massage points. Another man he worked with is about a 20-year-old man who was having an asthma attack. He was wheezing and wheezing. So Goodhart thought, well, let me rub the muscle, the attachments for the adrenal glands, the neurolymphatics for the adrenal glands, which I'll have you do right now on yourself. Go 2 inches up from your navel, in other words, 5 centimeters for you in other countries outside the United States, and then out 1 inch, right on the abdomen, and rub those firmly. So by rubbing those firmly, you're stimulating the adrenal glands, activating that, as well as increasing energy flow to some muscles we're going to be doing later, particularly the gastrocnemius muscle, okay? So you can keep rubbing while I explain here. So that doesn't help. So then he decides, well, I'm going to do a correction on the sagittal suture, and he puts his hands back, and you can do this now on your top of your head, and he finds back where he's got his fingers towards the posterior fontanelle, which is right in that flat spot in the back. He's touching lightly, and he feels a pulse that's about 72 beats a minute. Now and so you can just touch that lightly as I'm talking here, right? So the man's heart's beating at 110 beats per minute as he's having this asthma attack, but he holds the points that are beating at 72 beats a minute, and he finds that they then create an effect where the man's wheezing stops. He takes a deep breath, and all of a sudden he realizes, wow, this made a difference. And he then concluded from another book that he happened to get by a man named Terence Bennett, and he developed what's called Bennett's reflexes. So Bennett's reflexes are light touch points. They're called neurovascular points. They're primarily on the head. There's a few on the body. But when you touch these points lightly, it stimulates blood flow to the related organ. So you can take your hands down now if you're holding up there. So now he's got 3 energy switches that we'll be, again, applying to these various muscles that are key with sports and performance. So from there, he then found another effect. He was reading a book called, I believe it was something about acupuncture by Felix Mann, a doctor who was studying Chinese acupuncture and how it related to physiology and performance, muscle performance. So he then discovered he could do acupressure points, and that every muscle related to an acupuncture meridian as well as an organ. He already knew the organ association from Chapman, because Chapman's reflexes, those neurolymphatic reflexes, were basically to activate energy flow to the organ. So back to Chapman. So Chapman here is a osteopath, and he's working in these hospitals, and he found everyone with lung problems would have tenderness between the 3rd and 4th rib space. So you can kind of rub on that right now for yourself and see if you got any tenderness there. Okay, he also found that everyone with adrenal problems, as we always said, they had a tenderness right on the abdomen, about 2 inches up, 1 inch out from the navel. He also found that people with liver challenges between the 5th and 6th rib space, where the breast meets the chest wall on the right, they would be tender. And he found that the greater the tenderness, the greater the extent of the blockage. But as he continued to work these points, they improved with greater and greater performance to be able to clear up any challenges they had often in those organs. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is we're going to be going into specific muscles and finding where the neurolymphatic reflexes are. We're first going to learn how to test these muscles, and then we're going to learn how to clear any blockages by stimulating them with Chapman's reflexes, with Bennett's reflexes, again, neurolymphatic points, neurovascular points, and then we're also going to do the origin insertion, which is where the muscle attaches on the moving bone and the non-moving bone. Now, in addition, we're going to do the acupuncture meridian tracing, which is what Felix Mann was talking about in his book. That's where you go from the beginning of this energy channel, where bioelectrical energy known as chi flows, and you're helping conduct the energy flow there. See, we have an energy body that powers the physical body. And so these energy circuits, both nerve and wireless flow of chi and acupuncture energy, activate these muscles. So when we do that, we bring the person to full power and be able to also have greater endurance. Particularly tomorrow, we're going to do a whole technique for increasing endurance. Okay? So what we're going to do now is another energy tune-up technique where I want everyone to turn your head from right to left and see if you've got any stiffness there. Okay? Now this is called the ear unrolling technique. It's also known as auricular therapy. And how are you doing today, Lance?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You're great, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you turn your head from right to left and see which way's more stiff.
Left.
Okay, going to the left is? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be learning muscle testing here for you that are new to it. He's going to bring his arm out like this. Any problem with your shoulder that I shouldn't test it?
Nope.
Okay, so with the elbow straight and the hand relaxed, I'm going to push straight back like this. Okay? So if you have a partner you can do this with, you can just have them about 45 degrees up and have the hand relaxed, and I'm going to put gentle, gradually increasing pressure back towards your back. Okay? Ready and hold, and Now what I want you to do is turn as far as you can to the left where it was stiff. And you feel it there? Okay, I'm going to push again and see what happens. And see how it goes weak? Now, muscle testing is an indication of energy blockage. So that's what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is you can turn so they can see. You can drop the arm now. So what I'm going to do is step over just more here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rolled over part of his ear, and you can do this on yourself, even if you're at home after you've checked how your neck range of motion is, and you're just pulling up on the ear and unrolling it, pulling it away from the opening, okay? Now you can do this with both ears, and I can actually have him turn here, turn around this way. We're going to turn the head this way and see if you're getting any increased range of motion as I do this technique on you, okay? So I'm just pulling up and down on the ear, going down towards the base. Okay, and see if the neck is releasing any as we do that.
It is.
Okay, so now you can do this on yourself, folks, and you can do both ears simultaneously. So let's have you come back here again. I'll let you do it, Lance, on yourself, both ears, and as I'm doing mine. So we're able to go up and around. Okay. That's good. All right, now let's have you turn again. I'm going to bring the arm down here. Let's have you turn again and see as far as it goes. How does it feel? Wow, you're going further, aren't you? Okay, hold as I push again. Now the fact that the arm's strengthened now, it's stronger, is indicating, oh, we've got energy flow there. Very good. You feel the difference?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yep.
That's excellent. So have a seat and we'll bring you up in a little bit for some more work. Okay? So there you have it, folks. It's a really simple technique to do, and I've had some people with phenomenal results with this, where one woman had an accident, I guess it was a car accident, and she'd been going to therapists for years, at least 1 year, and then she did this technique, and she found that by doing that ear unrolling technique, you can go about 4 or 5 times, just keep going around the ear. She said it totally released her neck pain and it never came back. Now, in addition to releasing neck stress, this ear unrolling technique helps you to have better auditory input. You can listen better and retain information better. So now, in addition to the neck being more flexible, you can listen better, there's also an energizing effect. See, the ears act as antennae for the acupuncture meridian system. So when you have more energy or chi flowing through the body, you have greater performance, particularly in athletics. You can think clearer, your emotions are more balanced. So this little ear unrolling technique can really boost you in that way. One last tip is the ear unrolling technique helps to reset the body clock. So when you're traveling, you'll often have, like say, a case of jet lag. This will bring you back into balance to reset the clock to help correct jet lag. Okay? Great. So we had now the experience of Goodhart. You know, he became like very adept at handling all kinds of problems, because when there's energy blockage, that's what relates to symptoms like pain, range of motion difficulty. And he started working with athletes and found incredible increases in their performance. So he was the first chiropractor to work at the Olympics. He worked at the Lake Placid Olympics in 1980 and was breaking through to being able to really use this work, particularly with athletes. Give you a little of my own experience. I started working with Ironman triathletes in 1987. So I went to the Hawaiian Ironman in Kona, Hawaii, and it was amazing the results that I got with the athletes I worked with. Some were having personal bests. One man that I worked with set the world record for his age division. And many people, like another woman I worked with, set the American record for all American women in the Ironman. And basically what I was doing is what I'm going to be teaching you in these 2 days. It's where we're going to do muscle testing to assess structural and energetic balance, and then how to bring the person back into balance using these muscle activation techniques. So let's talk a little bit about accurate muscle testing. Now, I gave you a handout on accurate muscle testing, and accurate muscle testing is one of the first challenges people have in learning applied kinesiology, is to do it accurately. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Okay, you'll see that it says muscle testing is an indicator of energy flow or blockage. So we also call it muscle checking in some systems, and it's a rapid and easy method of assessing energy flow within the body. And it was Goodhart that discovered the strength of the specific muscles could be immediately changed, activating certain reflexes on the body. So these reflexes are energy switches that, when activated, immediately switch the muscle on. This is the first type of muscle testing mentioned below. We're going to talk about indicator muscle testing as well as testing specific muscles that you'll be doing in this course. Okay? So going to step one, you'll see that each individual muscle can be tested to assess whether it's switched on as an indication of its own structural integrity and energetic integrity. So what you're doing is you're bringing the origin and insertion, the two attachments, origin being on the non-moving bone, the insertion on the moving bone, you're bringing them together, and then you're pushing the bone in a line of drive, like such as an arm or a leg, that brings it furthest apart. So we're going to cover 12 muscles in this course that are most involved commonly in sports performance. So we're assessing the energy flow also within the meridian that's associated with it, and then seeing if this muscle is providing proper structural support. Now, I'll give an example here in a moment with Lance. The anterior serratus relates to the lung meridian, and the quadriceps assesses the small intestine meridian. So if there's a deficiency in the energy flow within the meridian, the associated muscle will test weak. Now, we cover this further in our structural kinesiology certification program that we have coming up in June, if you're interested in that. And you also can refer to the Touch for Health book and the folio. So in addition now, number 2, you'll see it says we can assess, we can also assess energy flow with a specific muscle. And you can use that as a general indicator, and we call it using it as an indicator muscle. It has many applications, and I'll just demonstrate these in a bit, but this is what I use so much of the time, using the muscle as a biofeedback indicator to tell me where there's energy blockage and what we need to do to clear it. And you'll see the bottom paragraph there. One I usually use is an anterior deltoid, which is 45 degrees up. That's the muscle I was testing on Lance earlier. So let's have you bring that arm out again. And we'll be getting into in a little bit all the ins and outs of doing the muscle testing. But as I push lightly here, I'm now using it as an indicator muscle, and I can now touch specific points on his body or have him do things like he turned the head and it showed there was stress. Now, if the muscle goes weak, I'm going to touch a few points here. And keeping the elbow straight and drop it down a little more, I can now touch specific acupressure points. I can touch, say, neurolymphatic points. I'm looking to see if any go weak. And I'll touch here, hold here. Oh, there we go. So I'm touching here. And by the way, you can also have the arm straight out to the side like this, okay? And in this case, so you can see it. It doesn't matter where the arm is, but when I'm touching here, he's strong. When I'm touching over here, these are the liver reflexes, and notice those going. Now I'm going to touch reflexes for the quadricep. Those are strong. Okay, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to try those adrenal reflexes. Oh, been under any stress lately? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can tell. Yeah, those are the adrenals help you deal with stress. So you can actually start touching areas of the body, and you'll be able to see where there's energy blockage, either in specific points, like the neurolymphatic points, also acupressure points. Let me touch another point here. This is a tonification point for the adrenals. So again, he's got a strong indicator muscle. I touch there and see what happens, and bingo, it goes. All right, so that's one way we can use this. Now, that's the indicator testing. Now, we also want to do, I'll do an example of the anterior serratus. I talked about this. That's where he brings his arm up, reaches out, and I'm going to push straight down. Okay, and ready and hold. Oh, do you see how it's going weak? Mm-hmm. So that one's not at 100%. Now, what I'm going to do, and again, this is a preview of what you're going to be learning. I want you to touch right here on these reflexes, and those are reflexes for the lung. Let's see if it makes a difference. Hold as I push. Now, I can't budge them at all. I'm really giving it all I can. Take the hand away, and I'm going to use the little finger. Hold as I push. It's like night and day. So that's what you can use, what we call circuit locating, to find what points will switch on a muscle, and that would be any point you touch that will switch it on will be the point you will then correct it with. Now, there's also a point right up here on the anterior fontanelle. Touch that with that hand and see if that helps. And try it again and hold as I push. And it does. Okay, so we know that's another point. So remember, neurolymphatic, that's neurovascular. And now we're going to have you touch right here. This is the lung meridian. He's touching the beginning of the lung meridian, just touching it lightly, and hold as I push, and again, it's strong. So that's giving us an indication that those points will be what we can activate it. Again, we'll be doing this in the class, so if you can hang and be a little patient, we'll get back to you when we're actually doing it. But that's showing the two types of muscle testing. Again, you can test a specific muscle related to, like in this case, it's a muscle that you're using when you're drumming, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have that anterior serratus really working. Yep. Yeah, and you were drumming yesterday, weren't you, in rehearsals?
All day.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of this. When you can tune a person up before a performance and after, they recover faster and they have a better performance. Mm. Okay, you're going to blow them out of the water when you do your drumming. We'll get you tuned up right before the event. Yeah. Okay, great. So those are the two types. Again, anterior, usually I use an anterior deltoid. That was the one about at this angle. Middle deltoid is out here. Any muscle can be an indicator muscle, but those are the two easiest when you're standing. Now we're also going to show things on the table, and I'll show leg muscles for that. Now we also have the specific muscles, and I just showed anterior serratus. By the way, that was the first muscle that Goodhart discovered when I mentioned working with man Ronald. Ronald Foltz was his name, and he's the one that had the winging scapula. Let's just have you turn around here and see if that is happening with you. Okay. Not too bad, but that's where if it's protruding back, it's the insertion that's on the inside of the scapula, and the origin, it's down here. I'll have you turn around, and it's this sawtooth-shaped muscle. We'll look at that later on the chart. And that is where the origin insertion is. So let's just do one more test. Have you touch that area with the left hand. Now he's touching the origin, and again, I'm going to see if it helps strengthen it. And it does. So you want the full house. You want the anterior serratus origin, and then the insertion I would get back here. So when we test that muscle, we're going to bring him back up and demonstrate that, okay?
Okay.
Excellent. He wants to know, does it matter whether the therapist or trainer, whoever's doing the work, touches the point or the person touches their own point? It generally is best if the person touches their own point, but particularly acupressure points, it doesn't matter. But I find the more you practice this, the better you're going to get. And when you touch, as I touch points on people, they generally will show. But Goodhart used to say it's best if the person touches their own point. Now, in the case of like when he had the anterior serratus weak and I'm pushing down like this, I like them to touch their own switches and then see if that brings it about. It's sort of like you have like wires where you can touch these two wires together and the light bulb goes on. That's the metaphor you're thinking. With your hands, you have like energy flowing through them. In fact, let's all do this. Rub your hands together, and you can feel this electromagnetic energy when you go like this. Can you feel that? It's like a ball of energy there. Now, there's a phenomenon called piezoelectric, and that's where touch is so powerful. Piezoelectric means when you touch, it creates electrical response. So that electrical response says if we add energy or electricity to this point, does it create a loop that then switches on the muscle? So again, either person can touch the point. So again, the context of all of this is you want to have structural and energetic integrity and balance. Because when one muscle is inhibited, the opposing muscle gets too tight. And then you don't have full performance. I'll give you another example of this, and it was the anterior serratus muscle that I was working with. While I was at the gym with my trainer in Hollywood, there was a man who was observing us, and what we would do is I would do a set of weights, and then I would rub these points, stimulate the neurolymphatics, and then I would do another set, and it just kept going, more and more power. And he was saying, well, you guys seem you know what you're doing. He said, I just got a question. He said, his name was Brad. He said, I'm a catcher, and about 9 or 10 months ago, someone bored into home base like they used to allow people to knock the catcher over and whacked my shoulder, and I've never been the same since. I've been going to doctors, therapists, physical therapists, and I'm not making any progress. So I looked at his scapula, and sure enough, it was winging back. Now what happens is, in often injuries, the muscle where it attaches to the moving bone pulls away from the bone, and so it's called a microavulsion. And when that happens, the muscle's not at full strength. So with him then, I got on his origin insertion of the muscles, just like I was showing on Lance, and after stimulating those for about 20 seconds, I then did the neurolymphatic point. Of course, first I tested, and sure enough, he was totally weak. And after doing that, and again, I'm at the gym, it's not like a client coming in, I do that for maybe 90 seconds total working on the guy, and he's strong after it, and I said, okay, Brad, there you go. And he goes, oh, thanks. So I go back to working out with my trainer, and in about, it was, I think, 5-10 minutes later, he comes up to me, and he goes, I can't believe this. He says, I just benched 250 pounds 5 times. He said, before that, I was maxing out at 175. So I got his number and kept in touch with him, talked to him about 6 weeks later, and he said, yeah, what you did to me in the gym, I've been fine ever since. No more therapy needed, and I'm back, playing my baseball and doing fine at catching. So sometimes you get these blow-away results. So we've got now, just to review what we've covered so far, you understand that there is what's called the opposing muscle theory. And then we're going to also cover the neurolymphatic energy switches, the neurovascular, and the meridian trace, along with the origin insertion. So you now know there's 4 primary energy switches that when you find a muscle inhibited, you can activate. We also learned that you can use manual muscle testing, applying gradual increasing pressure, and it's not a strength test, it's an assessment for the quality of energy flow going to the muscle. And when you find an indicator muscle strong, you can then circuit locate, meaning touch and then test, points on the body to find where there's blockages. And this way you can quickly go through them. We'll be demonstrating this, how you can do assessments with an athlete to find where you need to work. So another technique we're going to learn is how you can do a whole neurolymphatic massage. That's where you can rub all the points on the body. And I had another of my students did this with a tennis player who had had an injury previous to this, and he brought her back to peak performance, and then she won the French Open and completed her Grand Slam. And that was the main thing he did with her before each performance. He just stimulated, did circular massage on all the neurolymphatic points. So you'll find that is a great way to bring a person back into balance. She says, is it possible to do self-testing? Yes, we will get into that. So since you brought it up, let's do some. Now, generally, I like to do indicator testing. In fact, we'll do that when we come back. We're going to start getting into testing, but I'll just give you a little preview for it. When you by the way, when you're doing muscle testing, there's also a phenomena of asking the body questions. And we can do this with like determining a training regimen. And for that, the self-testing, this is just as an indicator, I like to do the sway test. So everyone stand up, and I want you to have, and you can do the seated as well, and you want to have your feet about shoulder width apart, ideally, but if you're seated, you can do that as well. So I want to have you think and feel in your belly, body, give me a yes, and think a happy thought and see if you lean forward or back. Body, give me a yes, but give me a yes. Okay, I lean forward, most people do. Now think, and you can have your eyes open or closed, but just feel in your belly the word no, 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 and say a feeling of frustration, and see if you go back. So that's one way you can do as an indicator. Now, what you could do then is you could touch points. So let's say I'm going to touch the adrenal points and see how I'm doing. Uh-oh, I'm switching off. So let's say, yep, I got to work those adrenal points. Now I could touch, let's say, the liver point, like we did on Lance. Okay, I'm not getting a backward movement there. But you could touch, let's say, the lung reflexes. Oh, I'm moving back on the lung reflexes, see? So that's one way you can do a self-test. Now there's other self-tests. If you're seated, you can do what's called the quadricep test. And I'll just demonstrate this a little from here. We're going to do it later when I'm actually seated. So I'm going to put the leg up, and I have the foot a little further out in front. And as I push, say, body, give me a yes, and I'm strong. Body, give me a no. Okay? Now you could also think a happy thought. Okay, I'm thinking of my daughter who just turned 18 the other day, and her graduation's coming up. I'm going to Hawaii to go to her high school graduation next week. And that gives me a strong. Now I'm going to think of, and I still got to do my income tax. All right, I got to get the taxes done. So now we'll do corrections for those stressors. We're going to cover a whole thing on emotional stress release as well as peak performance. So that's another distinction I'll talk about now is Goodhart talked about the triad of health. So we've been talking a lot about physiology and energy, but that's the structure. We're working on the muscles and the structure. Now what you can also think of is the nutrition. That's the biochemical aspects. And every muscle relates to a vitamin and a mineral. And you can also do muscle testing to test foods. And I'll find, like say what energy drink works best for an athlete before a performance and what food they're eating that's stressing them. Like I had one man who was a dance instructor and he had knee pain, and we determined that both wheat, gluten products, wheat, and also orange juice. He was eating a lot of wheat and drinking orange juice, like a quart a day, and he tested weak on those. You could actually muscle test foods. He tests weak on those, and so we get those off his diet, and before he was going to doctors, and they were suggesting he needed a knee replacement. So we determined, that biochemical side of the triangle was key for him. He got those out of his diet and ended up not needing knee surgery and got rid of the knee pain. Of course, I was doing structural balancing on his muscles as well. Now then, the third side of the triangle is the triad of health. The emotional side that creates the triad of health. And so when you're under emotional stressors, that really affects performance. In fact, I think it was Yogi Berra that said 90% of success in sports is half mental. So in cases of particularly athletes I've worked with, and we're going to learn this in the course, you can program them in to having peak performance and focusing on the result they're wanting to produce, clearing away any stressors they have around the event, and building their confidence and creating a blueprint for success. So those are things that we're going to cover. So her question is, that's good for circuit locating an indicator, but how about the actual muscle yourself? Okay, so you could push on the anterior serratus. In this case, I'm reaching out and I'm pushing down, and I'm okay on that, but it's not as accurate. However, you can test the reflexes for it with an indicator better. But there are ways, if you're alone today and we're covering all these additional muscles, I still want you to do that because you're still firing it. And then we'll show you how, if it does go weak, how you can retest with putting it in, we call it a circuit retaining mode. So those are options for you. But I would say ideally you want to have other people testing you. And then again, you can always test the reflexes. So we're going to wrap up our first session here, and when we come back next session, we're going to learn how to do accurate muscle testing. And if you have a partner to work with, you'll be practicing with this. So until then, be well, and I'll see you then.